Lessons from the Rock, 2 Peter chapter 1. Hello and welcome to Some Assembly Required, our podcast here at Waynfleet BIC Church, where we discuss life through the lens of our Anabaptist roots. My name's Julie Adams, and I'm joined by Pastor Renee Kiewit.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, Pastor Renee. Glad to be together on, part 2 of this series. Would you call it part 2?
Yeah,
Chapter 2?
Well, or book number 2, letter number 2. Letter number 2. Yeah, I know it's, I was going to say, it's like a frosty fall Thanksgiving. Okay, It wasn't frosty at my house, but a cool fall day, and we're going to talk about Jesus. I mean, what else could be better than that?
I know.
Yeah, this is the beginning of 2 Peter. This one's shorter. So 1 Peter was 5 chapters. 2 Peter's just a quick 3. And sort of an interesting smattering of topics through this second letter. Mm-hmm. But still to the churches in Asia Minor, receiving the letter. And Simon Peter calls himself Simon Peter at the beginning of this letter. I think in the first letter it was just Peter, I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong, people who are listening to us. And so there's a same kind of introduction. You know, if you write a letter to, some people have like a unique way,
of opening or something.
Yeah. And so again, in this letter, Peter is reiterating this sort of grace and peace, this abundance that they have in Jesus. It's like just a really sweet encouragement. You can remember, if you've been listening along the way, that these churches throughout Asia Minor, I cannot remember all the cities without reading them, but throughout Asia Minor are experiencing just like the everyday suffering and persecution from living for Jesus. Yeah. And the only way we could be persecuted or experience suffering is if people know that we are Christians.
Yes.
Right? If it's evident or obvious. And so this chapter today is talking about that evidence, is talking about how obvious it is. And so I wonder if you can think of someone. I have someone in my head right now too. It doesn't have to be the same person.
Okay.
Can you think about what I'm thinking about? It's a trick question for Julie. But just someone who you knew they loved Jesus and they didn't have to tell you that. There was something about them, or it was evident. Like, can you think of someone and what was it that just you knew this person loves Jesus? It could have been their words, but also what about their life, would have been, just evidence of their faith.
Yeah. Actually, I'm thinking of a lady at a school council meeting that I met at E.L. Crosley. Yeah. And I didn't really, the first couple times I met her, I didn't know that she was a Christian, but I thought, boy, that sure wouldn't surprise me because she has such a gentle spirit. Just the way that she interacted, the way that she received people, when they came in, it was a genuine... She seemed so genuinely glad to see everybody. And I thought it was so beautiful. And then as I got to know her, she mentioned a few things. And it became more obvious to me by her mentioning that she goes to church and things like that. So
that is a perfect example of what sort of verses 3 through 11 is talking about here in 2 Peter. Wow. And Julie didn't even know that. That was like on the spur of the moment, which I'm very, very impressed. She didn't even read all my notes yet. So there's something about her virtue. Yeah. Right? That your little spidey senses go up. Okay, something is different about this person. Yeah. There is evidence of God's goodness in this person, Yeah. And so Peter is talking about the evidence, how people can tell that we love Jesus without wearing a shirt that says, I love Jesus, which is marvelous too, but also typically not how people find out that we are followers of Jesus. And so he, in these verses, is talking about adding to your faith. So Peter is writing to Christians, right? He's writing to people who already have faith. Yeah. So he's saying, add to your faith. He doesn't have to explain what the faith is because we already know that they're following Jesus. That the recipients who were getting the letter was, but add to your faith all of these things. So add to your faith goodness, knowledge, self-control, perseverance, godliness, mutual affection, and love. And so each one of these things. And so as I'm reading this list, I'm thinking, okay, I feel like I'm reading like the fruits of the Spirit, but just also different. I mean, some similarity,
Yes,
self-control.
I was thinking
certainly,
the same thing.
Goodness. So the first one is goodness. Some people, some versions say virtue, like virtuous or goodness. And that as we grow in our faith, as we continue to be transformed into the likeness of Jesus, we will add these things to our life. Like they will, and not only will we add them, like it's not like a checklist. Well, I just read a book about goodness and check, I'm ready. Like, or I just, you know, it's that we would, I feel like there's a Colossians passage where it's like, put on kindness, put on gentleness, put on, right? So it's like, add to your faith these qualities that give evidence of you following Jesus. It's like living out Jesus' character, just like this woman, in a way that other people would recognize something is different about you, or something has been changed in your life. And so I love a couple of things I learned this week, which I found so fascinating. The word add, so add to your faith. So that word add, okay, I cannot speak Hebrew or Greek in any fashion, but the Greek word, it looks like epikario.
Oh.
Sorry if you're Greek and I just butchered that. But it describes, it's a word that comes from an Athenian drama festival where these choreographers, people who are like so impassioned and wealthy, would put together their resources to make these big dramatic festivals happen.
Okay.
It was a cultural, it would have made good sense culturally that Peter would have used this word add to these things, because when these people would come alongside these festivals, they would add their wisdom, their resources.
Yep.
It cost them greatly to add to these festivals. And so if you think about adding to our faith, all of these things, goodness, knowledge, self-control, perseverance, it actually is costly. But it's costly cooperation with the Lord. It is joining God in the efforts of showing other people who he is, and partnering along with him by adding these different characteristics or traits to our faith.
That is the costly part, that it comes with suffering from the... Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
why it's
I think
costly?
some of it. Yeah, it definitely comes because, as it's evident, people are like, "Oh, you're a follower of Jesus? We can't do business anymore." Or because it was impacting their daily life. So like, "Oh, you're a follower of Jesus? I want nothing to do with you." You know, there's no more play dates for your child and my child, or whatever it would have been, right? So it did cost them, not necessarily financially, but it did cost them what people thought of them. They were often slandered because of, right? And so lied about. So those things cost them sort of in their, and it was some persecution, I guess you could say, and suffering as well. But sort of adding these things to our faith is showy, like a showing. It's evidence. It's fruitfulness, right? When we say that person there's something different about that person, it's because we've noticed something about them. Something is different about them, and it could be negative too. Like, whoa, something is something is different about that person. So it could be good or bad. But Peter is calling us to put on these things: goodness, knowledge, self-control, perseverance, godliness, mutual affection, and love. And sort of love covers them all.
Yes.
And it is really a stair step of things that you're sort of adding on. We can't add mutual affection for one another unless we have already added virtue and godliness. Like we can't love one another the way that God calls us to unless we've already, well, first of all, unless we have God at all.
Yes.
Because he gives us the ability to love one another.
Yes.
That doesn't come from our own goodness.
No.
All these things come from God's goodness. So it's interesting. I'm thinking of like, okay, it was Thanksgiving Sunday or Thanksgiving weekend or however Monday, I guess, is the Thanksgiving day. And the last couple of weeks I'm seeing all of this, like all of these crops being harvested, all of the sort of the fruit of the farmers' labors being gathered. You see oodles and oodles of pumpkins and gourds and squash and sort of all of this harvest being brought in, all of this fruitfulness, it's evident right now to us what season we're in, because we can see what's going on, right? And so thinking about that kind of fruitfulness in our lives as individuals, do people see an abundance of fruit that we are following Jesus? And it is a call in our life to not just stay as infants and not grow, right?
Yeah.
One of the metaphors I read this week was, when a baby is born, they're born with all the equipment, which was a funny word, that they need for their life.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't know how to use it all. They don't understand it all. They need to grow. They need to be nurtured. They need to be fed. They need to be loved and cared for. All of those pieces together help them grow.
Right.
And it's actually evident when children don't thrive.
Yeah.
Right? That they're missing.
Because of neglect. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as we, as followers of Jesus, if you consider yourself, like when we first became followers of Jesus, we were infant Christians, you could say, right?
Yeah.
And as we learned and grew in our faith, as we chewed on the word of God, how many metaphors can we use here? We grew in our faith, and it became evident that faith was growing in our life. It became evident that we became more loving. It was clear to people around us that we no longer gossiped, or we gossiped way less than we once used to. And someone said, well, I'm swearing less. Okay. So it is becoming evident, right? That was in a recent conversation, which makes me smile now. It was becoming evident that they were growing in their faith. And so Peter is saying, like, we need to be growing in our faith so that it is evident to people around us. And it's a blessing to be fruitful. Like, we want to be productive and fruitful for God's kingdom.
Yes.
Not to say, hey, I'm fruitful. Look at me, right? So this evidence isn't for ourselves.
No, it's for God's glory. Yeah.
100%. It's for God's glory. And so growing in our faith gives us a couple of blessings. One is fruitfulness, and the other blessing is vision. Our sight, being able to see who we are and who we are not. And I shared a story about, like, when I was a kid, I had bad eyes. And so I had to have a couple of surgeries in grade 5 and grade 7. And they were doing different things. The second surgery was to correct a problem from the first surgery. So whatever. They were, but when you can't see out of both of your eyes at the same time, it's quite disorienting.
Yeah. You lose your depth perception, right?
Yeah.
Because you need both.
Exactly. And I had to wear a patch, which is so bad in elementary school.
In junior high.
Yeah. Those are not the years you want to be different with an eye patch. Being a pirate is not cool when you're in junior high. But it was, so besides that set of issues, it was disorienting. You can't see what's coming. You know how we have like intuition, we can perceive things around us that we actually don't see. And so verse 9 says, whoever does not have this list of growing things that we're adding to our faith, they're nearsighted and blind, in fact. Like, they forget that they've already been cleansed by their sins. Like, we lose sight of God, or we lose sight of this sort of eternal promise that when we die one day, we will go to heaven. So we have this hope of heaven. And so it's this encouragement to possess the qualities in increasing measure, the verse says, to possess them. But it takes work.
Yeah.
We're growing them. It's not just an automatic, here's all your goodness, here's all your self-control.
Yeah.
Like, they take effort. And I think for different people, some of these are harder to learn than others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I find self-control with food or different other things very tricky.
Yep.
And so some of these things, I would say, I feel like I have good perseverance, and maybe I don't have to work as hard at increasing in that character. But all of these things only because God allows us to grow in them. But we should be adding them to our faith. And what I thought about too was, we're making a choice to add them. Like Peter's saying, add them to you. But that's work that we have to do as followers of Jesus.
Yes.
And as we do that, it reminds us, it confirms that God has drawn us to himself, that he has a plan for us. He's helping to grow those things in us. And then our fruitfulness, as it is shown to other people, brings them, they're drawn in.
Yes.
Like, oh, what is that? Who is that? How did you? And so the Lord can draw people clearly to himself. He does. But I think he can also draw people to himself through us, through how we are acting, behaving, treating people. Those things become very evident. And so the section closes, and we can't do the whole chapter every time.
Yeah.
There's so much in every single passage when we're doing book studies, but so we did finish off just at verse 11. Although next Sunday, chapter 2. Sorry, I got a little excited there for a minute. I am going to actually come back into the end of this chapter and pull some from there when we start talking about false teachers. So that'll be an interesting conversation to be prepared for and watch out for. But Peter sort of closes this section out by giving us this great encouragement. It says, brothers and sisters, be eager to confirm your call and your election. And your call is God drawing us, and your election is you've elected or you've chosen to follow Jesus, right? So God draws us in. We choose to follow him.
Yeah, it's mutual. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We have free will.
Yes.
We can actually not elect to follow Jesus as he draws us in. But he's saying, be eager to do both of those things. Do this and you will never be lost. Like this is the hope of heaven. In this way, you will receive a rich welcome into the kingdom of heaven. And it doesn't mean you'll. Some of the versions, in fact, the NIV says, "Do this and you'll never stumble." But it doesn't mean we'll never sin.
Yes.
It just means the ultimate stumble. You'll not lose your faith.
Yeah.
Right. You'll not be lost for forever in eternity. But that we have this beautiful hope of heaven. It's going to take work. People are not going to be always proud of us or happy about the changes that we're making in our life. You might have a group of friends that you act and behave with that maybe isn't the most godly or virtuous. And as you begin to put some of these things on, you might find yourself uncomfortable in that group, or they might find themselves uncomfortable with you and be like, you know what, maybe next time I'm not going to invite so-and-so to come with us. I don't know what's going on with them. But it is this transformation in your life to become more like Jesus. And so it's just a reaffirmation of this call on our lives as followers of Jesus toward sanctification, which is a big word, meaning turning into or transforming more and more into the likeness of. Yeah, exactly. So this is it's a great, I feel like it's another raw encouragement chapter. I felt like chapter 1 of Peter's first epistle was the same as well. It's just like we've got this amazing God who has given us this gift of salvation. Like let's put on these virtues. Like let's be fruitful and show other people who God is. And I just feel like he's like pom-pomming, like just rah, you guys can do it. And we need that kind of encouragement in the midst of facing suffering and persecution and a world that isn't encouraging us. Yeah. And so God's word is here to give us this great encouragement.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Renee. That was a great
a
great pump up. Yeah, you pumped our tires today. So thank you very much. And we hope that you are having a great Thanksgiving weekend with your family and friends. And we look forward to, actually, if you want to get in touch with Renee, I'll leave her email address. Sure, Renee at waynefleetbic.com. My email address is julie@waynefleetbic.com. And we look forward to next week. Chapter 2. And also next Sunday, the 19th, is our fall barn party.
Oh, yes.
Which will be a lot of fun. You can come to Richardson's Farm and Market in Dunnville. The address, I believe, is 131 River Street. Does that sound right? River Road in Dunnville. It will be, you can find it online, and you can meet there anytime after 3 p.m. Yeah. Gourmet hot dog dinner at 5.
That is not an oxymoron. That is serious.
It is.
Gourmet hot dogs.
You will not want to miss it. Guaranteed. Fall fun for everyone. That's right. Please come, bring a lawn chair, and join us that night. You bet. And we'll see you next week. Have a great week.